Monocacy National Battlefield is only minutes off Interstate 270. You could spend a couple of hours or a whole day here. Find out why the only Confederate victory in the North was known as the battle that saved Washington.
We're here at Monocacy National Battlefield. We're going to take the Junction Trail down to the Junction, which is where the Union and the Confederate forces clashed. Field here, but on our left is one of the railroad tracks for Monocacy Junction. This is, I believe, the line that went to Frederick. So we're walking east on the Junction Trail, which will lead us to Monocacy Junction. Here on the left, you can see the railroad tracks. We'll just take a quick look, see what it looks like down here. Currently, the railroad calls this Frederick Junction, but this was Monocacy Junction back in the days of the Civil War. Monocacy is a river that runs through this area, and hence the name of Monocacy Battlefield and Monocacy Junction. So it was here at Monocacy Junction where a small contingent of 675 Union troops held off a contingency of a couple thousand Confederate troops on their advance to Washington, D.C. While the Union didn't really win, what they did do is they prevented and delayed the Confederate troops long enough so that more reinforcements could come, and the Confederate troops plan to attack D.C. Fell apart. You can see Monocacy Junction. The tracks in the near ground are off the Frederick line, and the main line is in the distance. The tracks here form a Y.
On July 9, 1864, at 2 a.m., the last train of Union reinforcements pulled into the station at Monocacy Junction. This brought Wallace's total to 6,600 men. While Wallace was successful in delaying the Confederates' march onto Washington, the Confederates destroyed the junction and damaged the bridge.
By this time in the war, 1863, Secretary Stanton was trying to get more soldiers, so he started enlisting not only whites but colored folks, and in fact some of the slave owners here in Maryland were encouraged to sell their slaves, and some of them were sold right here to the Union, and they went off and fought for the Union, and of course when the war was over they became freed people.
During the summer of 1864, the Confederacy carried out a bold plan to turn the tide of the Civil War in their favor. They planned to capture Washington, D.C. and influence the election of 1864. On July 9th, however, Federal soldiers outnumbered 3-1 fought gallantly along the banks of the Monocacy River in an effort to buy time for Union reinforcements to arrive in Washington, D.C.
This farm had seen a fair number of troops from both north and south passing through this area, but on the day of the Battle of Monocacy here, they were in the middle of the fight. Some sharp shooters had taken over the barn and were trying to pick off the Union guys, and the Union folks saw smoke coming out of the end of the rifle, so the artillery lined up and shot at the barn and burnt the barn and then destroyed the barn, and the barn ended up being a casualty of the war.
On this day, our time was limited, so we only visited Monocacy Junction and the best farm. We will surely come back someday when we can see the rest of the battlefield. Thanks for watching.